Hi everyone, I'm Lorraine Driscoll, and this is another episode of Building Better Brains. Today I want to talk about how to stay sane with the kids at home. And I know that we've kind of learned some tips and tidbits, and there's been some good information going around, but I want to just dive a little bit deeper into that. And I also just want to reiterate some of the things that we've seen and talked about and how to make that work for your family. Because, I think for many of us, the first several weeks, we were in a state of shock and some even trauma, but in a state of shock and survival mode. And we really don't operate well under those conditions in terms of trying to, create a sense of normalcy. Sometimes we just need to process and kind of go crazy for a bit before we can start settling into a more sane rhythm and so forth. So one of the things that I talked about before that I just want to elaborate on is the importance of structure and routine. And that doesn't mean it has to be regimented or really strict or, that every single time in the day is allotted to something very specific and, that's routine and structure. But routine and structure basically helps to serve as the container, and you serving as that container for your children during this really unpredictable, uncertain time. And, remember that they might not seem like they're affected, but oftentimes they are. That's where people tell me their children are more clingy, their children's behavior problems are worse, kids are acting out in all kinds of ways, and we always assume, or not always, but we're tending to assume, well, it's because they're antsy or they're watching too much TV, which definitely all of that can play a role. But they're probably picking up on our vibes, right? They're probably picking up on our anxiety and uncertainty, and younger children don't have that emotional intelligence all the time to be able to process that. So structure and routine can be something as simple as, we're going to get dressed every day. We're not going to lounge around in our pajamas. Or let's say 6 out of the 7 days a week, we're going to get dressed and have 1 or 2 lazy days. And I'm a big fan of that for my family, just because I feel like it would increase anxiety levels if we're just able to, if I let my child, and I know other parents have felt this way too, we just let everyone lounge around in pajamas all day, and it's like every day is like Sunday. It kind of gives that feeling that life is on pause indefinitely. And while that can feel relaxing when we're on holidays, during the Christmas break or March break or something, it's a different feeling under these circumstances because there's already so much uncertainty, and it's almost like we're just white knuckling it or holding on. When is this ride going to be over? So I think that changing into pajamas or out of pajamas and, eating breakfast, getting some things done really sets the tone in the morning that there is a purpose to the morning. There is in the day, we can do meaningful things, and this is our new normal for now. The other thing is, in terms of creating a container, is just having that quiet time. I know a lot of parents have tried to do that in terms of having a time of day where everyone goes to their room, and it's not a punishment. It's just, this is our quiet time where we all take some space from each other. Because as much as we're missing socialization, we're also being overwhelmed with socialization with the same people. And that's a really bad recipe for really getting into people's hair and just getting annoyed with people over stupid things, right? So if we, create some boundaries where, you go to your rooms at this time, and you're gonna go, like I have my daughter sometimes go out for a recess, and just to give everybody some space away from each other, and to give yourself space also. Do things like if it's possible, obviously, go for a walk by yourself, take a bath by yourself, go do a workout video or whatever it is that gives you some space away from the rest of the family. And that can be a bit of a challenge, because I've even found it for myself, where there is a lot of uncertainty. We don't get to socialize with the people we want to socialize with or we miss. And so we're going to gravitate to our family, and that's great, right? We love our family, but we tend to sometimes not want to step away from them and have our alone time whenever it would actually be really, really beneficial. And the other thing that I think is really important in terms of sanity is often underestimated is we're all overeating way too much. I'm going to be doing a different video on how to address that. But the importance of trying to nourish ourselves and crowd out the junk food with the good food is really important right now, because your nervous system needs to be nourished more than ever right now. Your adrenals, your thyroid, you have probably likely stress hormones that are off the charts. Most of us are in some state of fight or flight. And so it's really, really important to eat healthy food, both for ourselves and our family. And that also creates a sense of rhythm and routine and normalcy. And the big thing here, especially if you have children who are sensitive in terms of ADHD, sensory processing, autism, and so forth, is to create a sense of rhythm and routine to make them feel more stable and more settled. And then, please don't underestimate the impact of sleep. It's really easy to stay up really late right now, especially a lot of us who are laid off or not working normal hours. But particularly for ourselves and our kids, we need that rest to recharge. Sleep is so rejuvenating and regenerating. And if we don't get enough sleep, then our stress hormones, our insulin will go up. And if that's up, then every other hormone in the body gets thrown off. So definitely making sure that you're getting lots of sleep, and also that you're connecting with other people. Like, we live in a great time where we have Zoom and FaceTime and Skype. So reach out to other people, connect with other people. Maybe it's possible, depending where you are in your community or what the rules are, you can go for a walk and just keep a distance with other friends. I know I've been able to do that, and that was really amazing to be able to do that. And also getting that exercise, because exercise is so important. We're pent up in the house. We're sitting more than ever. I have a friend who's a chiropractor who's now doing online support to deal with chronic pain. And she said that people are just sitting way too much right now. So definitely, move your body, do some workout videos, get outside, get some fresh air and some sunlight and so forth. And keep in mind with behavior, the importance of recognizing that your children might not just be acting out to drive you nuts, or they might not just be acting out because, they're feeling antsy. And definitely those, there could be factors that, like screen time and so forth, that could be playing a role. But if they are acting out, to kind of check in and see this as an opportunity to build emotional intelligence and resilience, because a lot of kids do not have the emotional vocabulary at all. Like, I learned this when my daughter was about 6 or 7, when she was having some issues with sensory processing and anxiety, that, it was a friend who had pointed out, well, she probably doesn't have the emotional vocabulary to express how she feels. So that's why kids will have tummy aches and not feel well and all kinds of other stuff, because they are not, they don't have that emotional awareness yet. And so this is a great time to develop that in them, to help them process their fears. If they're older and they can read and write, you can have them journal. And believe it or not, you can have them do art. That can help them to process as well. Just don't even tell them what to draw. Just have them draw, sit with them, ask them what it means, and kind of look at it. I'm hoping to get an art therapist on to do a Facebook Live interview. So stay tuned for that, hopefully. And definitely try to stick to your guns still with basic rules and so forth in terms of structure and expectations. So, yes, they might be stressed and overwhelmed, but obviously you want to keep things sane at home. So, it's okay to have what I call outcomes. So if you do X, then this is going to happen. But if you choose this one, you're going to end up with a not so good outcome. So that could be having to, I don't know, do more chores or go sit out or whatever the case may be in your situation. The other thing that I think is really important is to recognize the importance of, so you might remember the quote, idle hands are the devil's playground, which is really antiquated and certainly a charged quote. But it kind of made me think of what a lot of parents that I've talked to in the last couple of weeks are struggling with, is that their kids have too much free time and they're getting into way too much trouble. They're getting antsy and they're not appreciating that free time anymore the way they do in the weekends or holidays, because it's endless. And the only way to counteract that is to buffer it or balance it with challenge or some kind of tasks or chores. And it's not to torture them. It's human nature. We need that balance of work and play. So have them do their e-learning or homeschooling, have them do chores, have them do even just stuff that's more engaging and challenging. It's not about that it has to be unpleasant. It's just that maybe it's not that they're, doing their preferred activity 100% of the time, because if they are doing their preferred activity 100% of the time, they're probably actually going to get bored of that. And that's where you're going to see them getting antsy and irritated and so forth. And even my daughter admitted that she finds the free time is much more fun whenever we started getting back onto doing some math and some language in the morning and so forth. So the big thing is to, just have some boundaries, create some space for yourself, Cut yourself some slack and figure out what works for your family. Obviously, I've given some suggestions, but you have to figure out how that's going to work or what that's going to look like for your family. There's no one size fits all approach to this. Yeah, and that's, I'm really curious to see what you're doing to stay sane during these times. So please comment below. And I'd like to, I'm sure everyone can benefit from sharing what's working and what's not, because I've certainly received some great ideas from moms during this time as well. So thanks for watching. My next video will be on addressing the real root cause of why we're overeating, and no, it's not just because you're bored and you're at home, and how you can tackle that. Thanks for watching.